So down for the last pick of your draft, or perhaps even after the draft, maybe even into the first game or two of the season, there's certain players that literally are going so late they usually go undrafted. But depending on how things fall and what happens, could be absolute league winners. Let's jump in and see exactly who I'm talking about here. But first, if you enjoy the video, helps you out, hit the like button and subscribe up. I have like no subscribers. Help a brother out. Now, first of all, we're going to take a look at right here. We're over on Fantasy Pros, and we're taking a look at this real-time ADP thing. So apparently it throws out like the older drafts. So you're not getting like the Joe Mixon up in the 8th round and stuff like that. The drafts from a long time ago. You're getting the new up-to-date where people are going ahead and taking them, even the last 24-hour trends and the 7-day trend. So you can kind of see exactly where people are moving. And yeah, that's my team name up there that I got linked over here. Pete top, Kevin bottom. If you know, you know. So you can tell I've been playing fantasy football for a while. So we're going to start off apparently from what I looked at, if you're doing like a 3 wide receiver league with a flex and you're counting the defensive kickers and the bench, you come out to 192 draft picks. So we're looking down past 192 here for running backs, specifically running backs, that you can go ahead and either, like I said, last pick of your draft or keep an eye on. So if anything happens, maybe you have them on your bench, or you can go ahead and pick them up. You know exactly who to get the very second your phone buzzes and you get that news. The first up is at pick number 200 right here, usually probably going undrafted. And these are also, I will shout out people you can look for in best ball towards the end of the drafts too. Woody Marks. Now, the main thing is here with Woody, normally you'd think of like Joe Mixon. He's the starting running back, right? Well, he's had this foot injury that's been on and off for like, has it been years now? He really hasn't practiced like at all this off season. He's just taking pictures, posting on social media, him hanging out with his foot doctor and stuff like that, which is, I mean, you're spending that much time with your foot doctor. That's pretty wild that you're like best buds with them. You're hanging out with them so much because your foot's been such a problem. They just put him on IR. So it seems like Nick Chubb, they got him, but man, he just blew out his leg like he blew it out in college, and he blew the same leg out again, I believe, there for, was it the Browns? Blew out a couple of ligaments. He's coming back. I cannot imagine how unexplosive he's going to be. Well, they got this guy they drafted in the 4th round right here, Woody Marks. His measurables, not looking good coming out of college, I'm going to be honest, but they did draft him enough, and they liked him enough to take him in the 4th round. They do have other people here, like Dameon Pierce, but they really don't like Dameon Pierce. It's the whole reason they're bringing in Nick Chubb, and they're drafting Woody Marks, and they brought in Joe Mixon. So you got to think that he's like off the radar. He could be coming in, but Woody Marks is a guy to keep an eye on. This is one of those things that, like, especially this late, ambiguous backfields, you don't know what's going to happen with who. If you take a flyer, take a chance on him, or keep an eye on him after the first week or two. Maybe he's getting the passing down work outside of like what Nick Chubb's getting. Maybe Chubb's just getting the goal line type of stuff. So keep an eye there on Woody Marks. So looking at the next real-time ADP, we're just going to scroll down a few more, not quite 10, but here we're taking a look at Roschon Johnson, running back for the Chicago Bears. And he's going to be an interesting one. We can look more than just what he came out of college, because he's been in the league for a few years. He was initially a 4th round pick, but 6 foot 220. That's a husky man right there. So he actually had quite a few touchdowns last year. If you look at it, he had 6 total touchdowns. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he didn't get a ton of work, but they brought him in for the goal line work. I think he had the same amount of touchdowns as DeAndre Swift last year. Anyone who doesn't know as well, they brought in Ben Johnson here for Chicago. And what did Ben Johnson do in Detroit? They had the fire and lightning. They had the Sonic and Hedgehogs, what they call them. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit. They may do the same thing here in Chicago, but let's be honest. Is DeAndre Swift as good as Jahmyr Gibbs? Well, I don't want to spoil anybody's parade if you're a big Swift fan, but no. Gibbs is way, way better than DeAndre Swift. Or Gibbs is better than Swift. I don't remember what I just said there, but it'll be fine. So DeAndre Johnson could be David Montgomery, but possibly, not saying for sure, but possibly even better and more opportunity if they decide to kind of split the carries the way that they did in Detroit. And this is the offensive coordinator that, along with Dan Gamble in Detroit, decided to do that. So they could decide the same thing. So keep an eye on Roschon Johnson. Yeah, they did draft Manungai, I believe his last name is. People are getting hype on him because people are just always hype about rookies all the time. But you know what? Sometimes they just wanted the guy that already knows the whole system, doesn't have to learn anything. He's huge. He's a bigly huge dude. Just burrowing, just busting the ball into the end zone. He could even start taking some more here. He did have only 16 catches relative to 55 rushing attempts. If those go up, and they would need to go up quite a bit because he didn't really do a whole lot here. But there's an opportunity there, and I personally don't believe in Swift that much. Looking in at the next one, we're actually jumping down over 20 more picks here, down to 231. And this is the kind of most current ADP you can kind of get. Here's that Kyle Monangai guy that some people are kind of quote unquote high on. I wouldn't really worry too much about that. Maybe someone you could kind of ancillary keep your eye on. But we're looking right here at DJ Giddens. Now, Indianapolis, you probably, if you haven't been following the news, you may not have heard of this guy. But DJ Giddens is apparently like the no doubt number 2 in Indianapolis. So that's behind Jonathan Taylor. Little known, and maybe if you weren't paying attention, if you didn't have him on your teams, he actually had quite a few injuries last year. So I forget what the Gooden, I think this guy's Giddens, and I think there was a Giddens was the other guy's name. I forget anyways, but the guy that was actually fantasy relevant last year because he got 2 or 3 starts or something like that when Jonathan Taylor was out. Look at these measurables coming out of college here, out of Kansas State. 92nd, 92nd, and 95th for the 40, the speed score, and the burst score. So he is quick, fast, cut quick, good size here at 6 foot 212. 22 years old, still a young guy. Obviously, he just came out of college, so there's not a ton of stats to scroll down and look at. He was just a 5th round pick, though. But if anything happens to Jonathan Taylor, and not that you completely can, oh yeah, he's for sure going to be missing 6 games this year, but he's been known to get dinged up here and there, miss a game here, miss 2 games there, and stuff like that. And there's always the fluke thing. Obviously, we aren't wishing it, but it can happen in fantasy football or in the NFL. People can get hurt, unfortunately. It's an unfortunate reality. And DJ Giddens appears to be super quick, super fast, super athletic, and appears to be the guy that is the number 2 there in Indianapolis. So keep an eye on this guy, maybe even stash him on your bench there in the final round. Now we're going to go ahead and slide down a ton more picks here from DJ Giddens at 231 to 232 right here. Keaton Mitchell. Here's one of those situations. He's actually been in the league for a little bit, but he's had some unfortunate injury stuff. I think he tore his ACL. He had like a few crazy games. We can come down and look at it. So he played 8 games this season, 5 games this season. But I remember this one right here, these 47 carries, 396 yards, a couple of touchdowns. He had some huge bust out runs here, just random bust out like a 70-yard run. He seems super quick, super fast. Look at this speed over here, 4.37 40. And right there, that is so much different than what the other stuff they got there. They got the old man that does some pass catching. I forget his name offhand at the moment. And of course, old man Derrick Henry. So he's still young, still only 23 after playing 2 seasons. You can see how he's so fast, so much different. Obviously not Derrick Henry is like 6'3", like 250. He's 5'8", 179. So much more like the other running back they got there, the pass catches. But with this speed, if let's say hypothetically anything happened to Derrick Henry, I mean, they're probably going to be splitting carries between Keaton Mitchell here and some of the other guys, but that's could be very fantasy relevant for you. Maybe he even takes over more of the rushing part. Or if anything happens to the other pass catching running back, like the 2-minute drill running back, maybe Keaton Mitchell could fall into that situation too. So a good guy to keep your eye on here, Keaton Mitchell, another young guy that actually has experience too. Looking into the next one, we're actually going, there's mega hype on Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. Unfortunately, he doesn't make this list because he's getting pumped up to like the 8th round, but Brian Robinson got traded, and everyone thinks this almost last pick of the draft, who got drafted here at he's 24 years old. They think he's going to come in and just be the workhorse number 1. Now his measurables, I mean, burst score, cool, pretty good there. 5'10", 206, it's okay, but there's not a lot to see here. But it's kind of weird the things that happened with him. When you scroll down and look at his college, this last season, he only played 1 game. And I know what I had heard some of this, there was some eligibility issues to where him transferring schools here and there, and there's some little paperwork issue or something just nuked his season. And apparently he was a pretty good prospect before that, but almost final pick of the draft. And everyone just knows for a fact that he's guaranteed to be the number 1. Well, I think maybe they have kind of a young guy who's a rookie, not super young, but it says free agent here, but just disregard this because he definitely, it's an error on the site. He definitely plays Washington Commanders. That's Chris Rodriguez. So his measurables, not very much going on there, but you can scroll down here. He has a couple of years in the system. He never really got a ton of work, but he is a much bigger back here. 6 foot 217. Ja'Cory is 5'10". I guess not that much bigger, but he's more integrated with the system. They have Austin Eckler there, but he's kind of like a veteran guy to come in certain situations, and he definitely will play. But everyone's just assuming Ja'Cory Prosky Merritt is just guaranteed the workhorse. You might want to keep an eye on Chris Rodriguez here. And an interesting thing the coach said when interviewed, they asked him, is this going to be a situation where obviously Eckler has his role, but are the other two going to be kind of like Jacory be like the regular down back, and then Chris Rodriguez could be like the goal line back because with more experience and being a little bit bigger and stuff like that? And the coach said, yeah, maybe, but I wouldn't expect standard defined running back roles here. And it almost made me think that maybe there's just going to be a constant cycle of running backs here. Cycle. They're not going to have just one, this guy's a pass catcher. This guy's the goal line. This is the first down back, So you have to wait and see what happens. Eckler is old. He is old. He could easily get hurt. Sometimes even young guys like this come into the league and sometimes they get hurt right off the bat. They're not used to the physicality, and NFL players, even though college players, compared to average people, are huge. NFL players are even extra doubly hugely. So sometimes they'll come in and get dinged up or get hurt. They're not used to these giant guys crushing them. So keep an eye right here. Chris Rodriguez here at pick 234. Got to keep your eye on. Come down with another guy who's, I believe, is essentially the absolute guaranteed backup running back for his team, Kendre Miller. And it's odd that he's so late here because Alvin Kamara is actually quite old. So here's what we're looking at. Kendre Miller here. The measurables coming out. He must not have ran and stuff like that. I think maybe he was injured coming out of college or something. Only 23 years old. I thought he was older than that because I knew he played a couple of seasons. You see him right here, 23, 24, and he's only 23. It's crazy how young some of these running backs come out. But you can see he never even played a full season, 8 games, 6 games. He's always dinged up. So this is going to be the season. It's kind of make or break. Whether if he's always dinged up again, they might just say, dude, we're sorry. You just can't stay healthy. We appreciate you or whatever. But from what I understand, there really aren't any other running backs there for the New Orleans Saints. Now, not the best team, but you take a look at Alvin Kamara right here. He is 30 years old. So getting very close to being completely toast, completely over for running backs. Usually people say 28 is the running back age cliff. Kamara's been able to, a lot of people believe anyways, he'll keep it going because he does so much pass catching, but we'll really have to see. Even if he does kind of keep it going, doesn't get injured at his advanced age for a running back in the NFL anyways, they might even want to take some work off of his plate, especially if the season ends up a no-go. Just with Spencer Rattler just got named the starter over Tyler Shough. I'm not calling him Shuck. That's not how it's spelled. Shough is not Shuck. I'm sorry. But Kendre Miller may even just get more work and get more run so they can see what they can get out of him, or to kind of showcase him to be able to trade him at least for anything, like a 6th-round pick or something, whatever. People seem to be trading people for just literally anything they can get for him. So keep an eye on Kendre Miller, the number 2 there for the New Orleans Saints. Taking a look at one more here, 263, way down here. And this is another one that's so suspicious. Why is Tahj Brooks way down here at 263? Now, from everything that I understand here, Tahj Brooks, Cincinnati Bengals drafted him this year, and yeah, it was a 6th round, but he's essentially guaranteed the number 2 here. I believe they may still have Zach Moss, but he's always hurt. He ended up getting completely benched over Chase Brown. So right here, Tahj Brooks is not going to be anything unless Chase Brown gets hurt, but he could literally just plug and play with Chase Brown. 5'9", 214. That is a thickly built man there at 5'9". So super strong, I would assume, at this height with that strength. And coming in for Chris Brown, not James Brown. That's kind of funny. But keep an eye here on Tahj Brooks. Cincinnati Bengals, they are always scoring. Their defense is terrible. So any running back that's going to be starting for them is going to be worth their weight in gold. So keep your eye there on Tahj Brooks. If the video helped you out, hit the like button and subscribe up for future videos to help you out. With the drafts coming up, you don't want to miss any of this information. So, hey, thanks for watching and best of luck on this fantasy season.